Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove ancient medical wisdom with modern science. And today, what I want to talk to you about is a continuation of our five senses journey, where I've been going through the research and the ancient wisdom of each of the five senses. And today, I want to talk about the taste, the sense of taste, and the sense of smell, how important these two tastes are, and particularly some of the research and some of the ancient wisdom and some of the Ayurvedic therapies to support the health of those senses to keep them alive and well. Remember, your senses, your five senses, are avenues of consciousness that actually allow us to go outside, smell the outside world, touch the outside world, but they also allow that information to be brought internally. And we now know that our microbiome is the feelers, the antennas that feel everything. And they take that information epigenetically, and they actually change our genetic code. And the microbes support each of the five senses because the microbes live on the skin, and the skin is the sense of touch. Our sinuses, our olfactory senses lined with skin. All of the five senses are sort of a combination of environments where the microbes survive or thrive, as well as an area where there is a heightened sense of awareness. In Candace Pert's book, The Molecules of Emotion, she called them nodal points, heightened areas where these molecules of emotions live and breathe. And we're going to dive into some of that. So let's talk about taste for a second. What's so important? Well, of course, we taste our food. We love our food. It's important in Ayurveda to be aware of when you're eating your food, that you're relaxed and you're calm and you're not eating on the run, gobbling your food down. You know, if you're sitting there watching a scary movie, eating popcorn, you know, your stomach is completely unaware of the fact that you're eating, and you're completely immersed in the movie, and all of a sudden your stomach's like going, whoa, where's all this popcorn coming from? You don't connect the mind and the body, the food that you're eating, with the digestive process by actually having yourself distracted, which is why animals, mammals, early humans, most humans on the planet today still take time to relax, and they really take their mealtime as a sacred event. That's the old sayings, things like, you know, if you eat standing up, death looks over your shoulder. Better not to eat at all than eat while you're angry, things like that. So tasting your food comes from this experience of connecting with the food that you eat. The studies show that there's microbes on the food that you eat, and those microbes are extremely impressionable. You can take a container of yogurt and scream and yell at it, and the bugs in the yogurt will actually morph and adapt to that event, that fearful event. And we know that's true with our senses as well. So when you sit down and you eat your food and you're eating on the run, or you're angry, you're stressed out, we are impregnating our molecules of emotion, or morphing the microbes on the food to be energetically charged with this negative emotion. Now, this gets really subtle, but this is the new science of subtlety. The Western science is beginning to understand things at a much more deep, more subtle level. In Ayurvedic medicine, they were like all about the subtlety. They were all about the microbes. They're called krimnis, and they just talked about microbes thousands upon thousands of years ago, way before microscopes. They understood the value of the most subtle aspects of nature. So when you are eating stressed out or on the run or angry, we literally charge our foods, thus the emotions on those foods. Now, if it's highly processed foods, there's no bugs on them, no good microbes, then it probably doesn't matter. But when you're eating fresh food that are loaded with good, healthy microbes, which become the intelligence of our intestinal tract and our immunity and our blood sugar and all that, it's important to start the digestive process in a peaceful way. In Ayurveda, they even say how they grew the food, who harvested the food, the way they harvested the food, the way they carried the food to the market, the energy of the people along the entire food chain from seed to your tablecloth. That's a very important piece of the taste puzzle. When you taste the food, you're actually having this experience of those emotions. In Ayurveda, the word taste is rasa, and the word rasa means emotion. So the 5, 6 tastes are really 6 different emotional charges that we can experience from the taste of our food. But even on a more subtle level, we're actually impregnating our emotions into these bugs, creating what's called the ahara rasa, the food bolus that becomes our lymphatic flow in our tissues, and it builds from there. So it is really important to taste our food. And that's why in India they eat with their fingers, because everything is tactile and they're feeling and tasting their food, and they're extremely involved. If you're eating on with your fork and watching a movie or driving your car, opening your phone, you're very easily distracted. But when you're eating with your hands, it's something that is really, really hard to be distracted, because it's pretty an engaging process. You can't read books, flip through mail, anything like that when you have food all over your hands. So that's important. Each of the 6 tastes actually are sort of govern a different emotion. Like sweet can provide levels of satisfaction. We all know that. We love sweet tastes. But too much of it can make you complacent. Bitter foods are oftentimes related to the emotion of grief or sadness, or even being bitter. Salty foods can be senses of greed and overindulgence if you overeat it. Astringent foods can too much astringent food can make you more introverted. Pungent foods can make you more angry and overheated, and even deliver sort of rash behavior. Sour foods can be linked to jealousy and envy and things like that. So in Ayurvedic medicine, they always said each of the 6 tastes should be there at every meal. So you have all these emotions in a balanced way, because when you feed your body with your sense of taste, you're feeding taste rasa. Rasa is emotion. Rasa is also lymph. And the lymph is the emotional carrying system. So when you taste your food in a relaxed, calm way, eat it in a calm way, in a loving, kind way, prepare it in a loving, kind way. This is called sattvic eating. You impregnate positive emotions into your food, and you create a emotional state, a rasa, on the food that you're eating. And the ahara rasa, which is the food bolus, becomes your rasa lymph, and that lymph is the study of that is a study of longevity, and very, very important to make sure that that lymph is healthy, the biggest circulatory system of your body. I've written a ton about it. We really need to make it healthy, and it all starts with the tasting of your food and the preparing of your food in a very sattvic way. So those are important things. Ways to help support the taste buds Ayurvedically, using a tongue scraper like this, and actually scraping your tongue in the morning and even in the evening is a great way. Using a copper tongue scraper is one of my favorites, because this is an antiseptic metal. It actually gets rid of bad bacteria like staph. It's been well studied. I've written about the research on copper and the benefits of copper. And as a tongue scraper, it increases the sensation of your taste buds, which is important for tasting. It's also really important for creating an environment of good bacteria, helps get rid of volatile sulfur compounds, which cause bad breath, and it helps support the hygiene of your mouth and the right bugs in your mouth. The other sort of classic technique for that is using a product, something like Swish, or an oil pulling product, where you put it in your mouth and you swish it for about 10 to 15 minutes through your mouth, sort of gargling in the oil, swishing. And it turns out that when you swish the oil, you sort of saponificate it, you digest it, pre-digest it, and when you digest these oils, they become way more antibacterial after you pre-digest them or swish them with the enzymes in your mouth, so you're creating this really powerful antibacterial effect, antimicrobial effect in your mouth, which gets rid of bad bugs like Streptococcus mutans and supports the proliferation of good bugs like Streptococcus salivarius, which supports immune function. And it helps keep the good bugs who make the enzymes to digest the hard to digest foods like wheat and dairy and nuts and grains and seeds and beans. So really important to help support the health, but also the taste by feeding your good bugs with good oils, because your bugs eat oil, that's what they eat, and swishing, and also tongue scraping. Okay, the next taste, very much linked to your taste. 80% of what you actually taste, you actually smell. So smell is the other taste that's very important. Directly, as we all know, the olfactory bulb goes right to the limbic system of your brain. So your smell is that deep memory of emotion and how important our smells are and our sense of smell is. So important that they used to think we had like 10,000 receptors for smelling. And now they know we have something like 1 trillion receptors for smelling different scents, which is just mind-boggling. They've done studies with smell and how sense of smell can detect danger, love, fear, joy, kindness, happiness. Without seeing these emotions, they can smell them. The smell can detect the age of a person. It can detect recognize a dominant individual or a shy individual, the emotions of the individual. It can actually be used, just the smell alone can be used to match people for partner selection. So just by having someone with a really good nose can tell that's the right person for me because they smell good. And this is their normal smell, not the perfume that they wear, although that may count too in some way. If you don't have a sense of smell, it can link to a host of neurological concerns, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, brain function issues, mood-related issues. All can be related to not smelling very, very good, which is really important. So your sense of smell is something that I think is really important, obviously. And it's very important from the Ayurvedic perspective to surround yourself with beautiful aromas, seasonal aromas. And in the article associated with this video, in the Five Senses Journey, I give you all the aromatherapies, essential oils used for each of the different doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, winter, summer, spring, and which ones are good for, or it's called tridosha, good for all of them, which is really a beautiful understanding. So go to that article on smell. It's on my homepage right now. It's already been published. You can get that, and you can get all that information about what essential oils are good for Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and which ones are good for everything. And also, in our 3-season diet challenge, starting in May, we started publishing the flowers that are edible and some of the benefits of those flowers. So you can, start to pick those flowers, eat those flowers, smell those flowers because they're in season. And there's a reason why those flowers are in season. And every month, new ones come to bloom, to blossom. And we write about that in the 3-season diet challenge, where you get your monthly packet of recipes, grocery lists, and superfoods, and of course, edible flowers for every month of the year during the spring and summer, which is super exciting. Other ways to keep your sinuses and your sense of smell very, very healthy are 2 techniques. One technique is using a neti pot, where you actually use a saline solution, something like this, a natural salt saline solution, and you mix it, make sure it's sterile, and then you irrigate your sinuses in one side and out the other, and you clean your sinuses out. Always the first step is neti, to clean your sinuses and sort of scrub it with the salt water. That is always followed by a technique called nasya. Nasya oils are herbalized oils, and you take a little bit of oil and you put your head back and you put a few drops in your nose and then sniff it up into your sinuses. After you irrigate your sinuses with salt water, which can be drying, you must finish the job with neti to lubricate the sinuses, which is very important to keep the sense of smell very, very strong. So those are the techniques. If you want more information about nasya and some of the more powerful benefits of nasya, go to my article on smell, which is also on the homepage as we speak at lifespa.com. But also there's another article you can look up if you want to look into the deep detox benefits of nasya for the brain chemistry, for the brain lymphs. Read an article called Nasya, Nasya, Sinus Cleansing and Emotional Baggage. And that'll give you a really great article about some of the therapeutic effects that from the Ayurvedic perspective in using nasya to detoxify, help support the detox of the brain lymphatics. Okay, well, there you have it. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll talk about the sense of sight and finish our journey of the 5 senses. Please check out these articles. They're loaded with science, loaded with ancient wisdom, all about understanding the value of our senses. Point being of this whole thing is become more sensory aware. Allow our sensory senses to feel in a mindful way, as opposed to just mindlessly taking them for granted. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Douillard.